When was the last time you had a thought that was truly your own, not one suggested by an algorithm, not a reaction to a headline pushed to your screen, and not a fleeting opinion shaped by 100 comments you scrolled past? When was the last time you were truly, deeply, inescapably bored? If you can't remember, it's not your fault. It's by design. We live in an age of invisible puppeteers. They don't pull strings of twine, they pull strings of code, of data, of notifications. Every buzz in your pocket, every red circle with a number inside it, is a gentle tug, guiding your attention, mining your focus. We have outsourced our memory to the cloud, our social lives to a feed, and our downtime to an endless scroll. We have become the ghosts in our own machines, haunting the corridors of our own lives while the real world unfolds, unobserved, just beyond the glass. This isn't a story about the evils of technology. This is a story about remembering how to be human in a world that's constantly trying to convince you to be a user. This is about the quiet, radical act of a digital detox. Before we dive into what it means to unplug, we have to understand what we're plugged into. Your brain, that incredible 3-pound universe of neurons and synapses, runs on a very old operating system. It's wired for survival, for connection, and for reward. Tech companies with armies of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists know this better than anyone. They've crafted what experts call a variable reward schedule. Think of a slot machine. You pull the lever, and you don't know if you'll win. It might be nothing, 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 and then jackpot. That uncertainty is what keeps you pulling the lever. Now think of your social media feed. You pull down to refresh. It might be nothing, nothing, a boring update from a distant relative, and then jackpot. A funny video, a message from a friend, 100 likes on your latest photo. Your brain gets a hit of dopamine, the pleasure chemical. And so, you keep pulling, you keep refreshing, you keep scrolling. This isn't a metaphor. It is the literal, neurological mechanism keeping you hooked. The infinity pool, the bottomless scroll, ensures there is no logical stopping point. There's no end of the chapter, no closing credits. There is always more. The consequences are subtle at first. Your attention span feels shorter. You find it harder to read a book without reaching for your phone. You're watching a movie, but you're also on your tablet, dual screening your own entertainment into a haze of fractured focus. Then the deeper effects creep in. The constant social comparison, seeing everyone's curated highlight reel and stacking it against your own behind-the-scenes reality. This fuels anxiety, depression, and a persistent feeling of not being good enough. We start performing our lives instead of living them, choosing a restaurant based on its photo potential, viewing a beautiful sunset through the lens of a camera before our own eyes. We've become curators of a digital museum of a life we're too busy documenting to actually experience. So what happens when you cut the strings? What happens when the puppet decides to drop? Let's follow a hypothetical subject. We'll call them the nomad, because for a short period, they will wander outside the digital tribe. The first 24 hours are the hardest. The silence is deafening. The nomad's hand twitches, reaching for a phone that isn't there. This is a documented phenomenon known as phantom vibration syndrome, where your brain literally fabricates the sensation of a notification. It's the ghost of the machine calling out. The boredom is immense, almost painful. It feels like a void. The nomad's brain, accustomed to constant stimulation, screams for a fix. Just check the news. Just see if anyone messaged. Just scroll for 5 minutes. This is withdrawal. It's a chemical and psychological battle. against a deeply ingrained habit. By day 3, something begins to shift. The initial panic subsides, replaced by a strange and unfamiliar state: awareness. The nomad sits in a coffee shop, and for the first time in years, doesn't have a screen to hide behind. They notice the way the light hits the sugar dispenser. They overhear snippets of conversation, the laughter between two friends. They taste their coffee, really taste it, its bitterness, its warmth. The world, once a blurry background to a digital foreground, begins to sharpen. Colors seem more vivid. Sounds are more distinct. Their senses, for so long dulled and outsourced, are coming back online. Their brain is beginning to heal. Without the constant influx of external information, it has to generate its own. Old memories surface. Ideas, not half-formed thoughts but fully developed concepts, begin to connect. A solution to a problem they've been stuck on for weeks suddenly appears, not because they Googled it, but because their mind was finally quiet enough to connect the dots on its own. This is the birthplace of creativity. It doesn't happen in a flood of information. It happens in the quiet spaces in between. Around day 5, the nomad experiences a profound emotional change. The constant, low-level anxiety that was their baseline state has vanished. The pressure to perform, to post, to be seen and validated by a digital crowd is gone. They have a conversation with a friend, and it's different. They are fully present. They are not thinking about how they will summarize this moment in a witty post later. They are simply there, listening, connecting. They realize how much of their social energy was being siphoned off to maintain a digital persona, and how little was left for the real people right in front of them. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, is replaced by what some call JOMO, the joy of missing out. It's the liberating realization that you don't need to know everything that's happening everywhere, all the time. It's the joy of being right here, right now, in the only moment you truly have. They pick up a book and read for 2 hours straight, sinking into the world of the story without a single interruption. The narrative arc feels richer, the characters more real. Their brain, no longer fractured into 1,000 tiny shards of attention, can once again hold a long, complex thought. On the 7th day, as the detox period comes to an end, the nomad feels a sense of dread, not because the experiment is over, but because they have to go back. They look at the small black rectangle of glass and metal, their phone, and it no longer looks like a gateway to the world. It looks like a cage. The point of a digital detox isn't to abandon technology forever. We can't, and we shouldn't. It's a powerful tool for connection, for learning, for creation. The goal is to move from being a mindless user to a conscious operator. It's about re-establishing the proper relationship. You are the master. It is the servant. Re-entry requires a strategy. The nomad doesn't just turn everything back on. They make deliberate choices. They turn off all non-essential notifications. No more red circles begging for attention. They curate their social feeds, unfollowing accounts that fuel comparison and anxiety. They follow artists, scientists, and writers who inspire them. They set boundaries. No phones in the bedroom. No screens during meals. They schedule specific times to check emails and social media, rather than letting it be the default activity that fills every empty moment. They actively schedule time for boredom, for long walks with no destination, for just sitting and thinking. They start using technology as a tool to enhance their real life, not escape it. Using a map application to find a new trail to hike, not to scroll through pictures of other people's hikes. Using a messaging app to arrange a face-to-face meeting with a friend, not as a substitute for it. The digital world is an incredible place, but it's a poor substitute for the real one. We've forgotten that our brains are not hard drives to be filled. but gardens to be cultivated. They need periods of sun and periods of rain, but they also need periods of quiet, fallow ground to rest and recover. A digital detox is not an escape from life. It is an escape, dololi back tumimistopes to life. It's a declaration of independence for your mind. So I ask you again, is your brain still yours? You don't have to disappear for a week to find out. Start small. An hour, an afternoon, a full day. Leave your phone at home and go for a walk. Feel the silence. Endure the boredom. See what thoughts rise up from the quiet when the algorithms finally stop talking. You might be surprised at who you find when you're the only one there.